We clearly have a quorum now, personally, right under the line. Okay, let's call the order and call the roll. Ann?
Thank you, sir. Reed Williams.
Here.
Dr. Cantu. John Agather. Anako Garcia. Phyllis Villagran.
Here.
Peter Ononthre. Andy Castillo.
Here.
Al Rodriguez. Michael Kinnick. Anne Marie. Jack Hebden. Wayne Eddington. Tony Edwards. Michael Sanchez.
Here, I'll make my way down there a little bit.
Okay, thank you.
Later on.
Dee Dee Belmaris. Kurt Anastasia.
Here.
Chris Fullerton.
Here.
Dana McGinnis. Jim Berg. Anita Ledbetter. And Miriam Junkett.
Here.
Perfect. We have a quorum, sir.
Okay,
John,
let me close these doors. All right, first up, we'll have Mr. Reyes, Pastor Reyes here for our invocation.
Please join me. We thank you for these many blessings that you've freely given to each of us. And we ask for your presence to guide this meeting of the Rate Advisory Committee. Provide them with the knowledge, discernment, compassion, and wise counsel needed as they discuss the business matters on the agenda today. And help us to remember that we are all stewards acting on behalf of our customers, and provide us with the grace to serve all people well. And we ask all this in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Okay, we'll have one person on public input. I saw him earlier. Maybe he's behind the post. Alan? Come on.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. My name is Alan Montemayor. I think most of you already know me. I am the chairman of the Alamo Group of the Sierra Club. We are very dedicated to the STEP program. I'm very gratified that you guys are moving forward with this. I would like to see it even bigger than it is, but of course, that's what was voted for. In particular, we are really pushing for the renewables in the program, the solar, particularly the community solar, which can be applied to disadvantaged people in San Antonio. Hopefully, there'll be a way of making that happen in a relatively quick fashion. I've been I've been somewhat sad at how slowly this has all proceeded at CPS Energy. I know they have to be very careful because of the financial condition that they're in, but regardless of that, both the rooftop solar program, which is going away, and the community solar, which I hope will be ramping up, are going to be a boon to the community from an emission standpoint and from an equity standpoint. A lot of the other programs that you have are wonderful. The insulation programs, the HVACs, and particularly when it comes down to interfacing with all the federal monies that are going to be coming in on these, I think that there's really an opportunity for CPS Energy to have a lot of megawatts coming our way. So I'm very tickled that you guys are doing all this. I know that you have the best interest of the city of San Antonio and the citizens of San Antonio at heart. The HVAC things that are going to be going on, I think, are particularly impactful, particularly if we combine them with those IRA funds that I was talking about earlier. The ability to do these mini split systems and or heat pump systems, the heat pump water heaters, et cetera. I know that my wife and I will be going the next step towards energy efficiency and installing these technologies in our home. Anyway, I do appreciate the ability to come forward and speak to you guys. Thank you for doing what you're doing. And I know that we can't do this everywhere in the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Anyone else? Okay. So just a couple of administrative items. First of all, I'd like to introduce and welcome Miriam Jackett. And if I didn't pronounce that right, please turn on your mic and tell us, tell me where I'm wrong.
Very close. It's Jucket. It rhymes with bucket. It's an easier way to
Okay,
remember it.
that's great. So we're really glad to have you, and hopefully if you need anything, there's a lot of people here to help you get caught up. I just wanted to let everybody know that the bylaws were approved the change to extend your term, so you're on a little longer, volunteering a little longer, and it'll only be till July if we get our work done, which we will. So, and then in July, we'll see what the board wants to do with the committee. The other opening remarks is that the May meeting is on the 25th. So everybody please note that. There was a lot of conflicts with graduations around the third week of May. The last thing is the timeline. So as I indicated earlier, we've got a very simple approach here. We just have to make a recommendation to the board. And we have to make a recommendation to the board by the end of July. Now, I hope we have this written in June, okay? So I need everyone to, okay, I'm not sure what to do with that, but thank you anyway. So we need to have it drafted in June so people can have plenty of time to talk about it, because you've got a calendar in front of you. And if you look after the June meeting, there's quite a few public hearings. So the folks should be given the courtesy to see what we're talking about. Just a minute, Dana. Now I'll get to. So that's the outline. All right, Dana, go ahead. Sorry.
I just can you tell us exactly what we're going to try to vote on? Because I
don't know whether it'll be a vote, it'll be a compromise, it'll be a discussion. But let's see if we could put up is the triangle, do we have the triangle anywhere? Maybe I can do that. Okay, here's what we've got to do. Affordability, we can't make it all work with just giving rate relief, okay? You got to use the other two tools we got in the box. You got to improve the environment in which people are using electricity. So you lower the cost of electricity for them as you can. You improve their ability to use it. And then you give them the tools to use it when they want to use it or when they have to use it, and not use it when it could be more expensive. So the discussion to this point, it can change, I don't care, is that we present some type of reasonably coherent recommendation to the board that says we do X. We recommend that these things be looked at the next rate increase for bill relief. We believe these things in the step need to be emphasized and concentrated on, again, for affordability on low income. All right, again, that's what we're focusing on. And then when and how we can get the information that's already at our meters coming back here into a system that can be utilized so that that individuals can get the price signals they need and make the decisions that are required off of those price signals so that they can manage their demand. Okay, if we can do those three things, if it's 3 paragraphs, it's sure not going to be 3 pages, I wouldn't hope. But if we can get that statement kind of thought about. So I need everybody to think about that. We're going to talk about it a little bit at the end today, okay? Because I don't know that this discussion will take all day. So we'll start the discussion about people just kind of free-forming their ideas, and we'll try to get them down. Dee Dee, do you have a question? Bring that down where I can see everybody now.
Did I?
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Dee Dee.
I guess my question is, I understand we're going through energy burden, the STEP program, the affordability programs. Next month, we'll talk about demand management, time of use rates. I'm still not clear, like, what we could recommend to the board, because that's really, what is city council going to vote on? They're going to vote on what, 5%, 5.5% rate hike?
Well,
That's what I don't know what that's going to
Okay.
look like.
let's separate it from the rate hike, okay? Because again, we're into how the bill is actually constructed as opposed to how much is required for the revenue requirement. So irregardless of what the revenue requirement is, what we're trying to talk about here is, and ideally, it's not best, Dee Dee, you know this, it's best to change the way you're billed, or what people loosely call rate design. It's better to change that without a rate increase so that you don't have two things moving at once. You and I have talked about that. I don't know, given the timing, that that's possible, but that timing is not our decision. That's CPS's decision when Rudy and his management decide they're going to bring a case forward. They might very well decide, and it's theirs, to bring a rate design case forward and then bring a rate increase. I don't know, and I don't think that's any of our, really our say. But if
I
we
think
get-
as ratepayers, we should know.
well, we should know, but I don't think as a rate advisory group, we're going to say you know, we can recommend that you do if y'all want. And again, this is going to be clumsy. This is not easy.
Right.
Okay.
And I'm not challenging you.
No, that's,
Reed,
no, you're
But
not.
our role was to study and give input on rates and generation. So
Well,
that's where I'm just
That's right.
confused.
Well,
And so our term will end and CPS Energy is going to make their rate case fall. Yeah, that's what I'm just trying to get an understanding.
oh, okay. Well, you're back on the rates. So let's stay on the rates for a minute. Let me try to answer best I think I can on the rates. I believe that when a rate case comes up, I have found with my experience back at SAWS that it's better to raise up a rate advisory committee and let them work on that third step. Okay. Corey and his folks, Chad, they're going to all to figure out that this is the revenue requirement we have to have. And then they'll work with Ben to figure out if that's right.
Yep.
Chad's already done his work to allocate those costs across the class of trade. Okay, that's the first two steps. The citizens typically really become involved in how are we going to get billed? For example, with water, do we have progressive
Right.
rates or what do we have? So I see this entity making kind of a blueprint recommendation. Okay. And then if there's a new rate body, they actually would do it. So I don't think at this point in time,
Okay.
we're anywhere at that point,
Okay.
if you will. That's bad English, but we're not there. Okay.
All right.
All right. Is there any questions on the board here? If there are, just turn your picture on and I'll recognize you. I see no one looking up or looking on or turning on. Okay. So that is pretty much the best I can give you for a look-see forward. And it's not going to be easy, but we got to have a lot of frank discussion about this. So now I want to introduce Anna Lozano, who is going to give us our presentation on that bottom leg of the triangle, which is conservation. And as we've all been through this is the STEP program, step 2, but it's step 2 focused on affordability for low-income people. Okay? And after this, we'll have discussion. And if you have questions, do you want them to interrupt you or do you want to wait, hold the question? It's your call. Okay, let her go through the presentation, write your questions down, and we'll have plenty of time to discuss, okay?
Thank you, Reed. Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, come on. Good afternoon. My name is Anna Lozano. I am the Director of Technology and Product Innovation here at CPS Energy, and I appreciate you being here today and at home or wherever you're at. I think we were a little nervous we might not have a quorum, and I thought about it, well, today's the first day of fiesta. Where else would you want to be, right? So thank you for coming in today. I'm excited to talk about energy conservation, as I'm sure you guys are excited to hear about it. At CPS Energy, I get the opportunity to help lead our STEP program for our utility and for our community. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. And as Reed said, we're going to focus on energy conservation, which is one of the legs of that triangle of affordability. And so what we'll focus on today is our programs that are focused on equity, our equity-focused programs to help support affordability for our limited income customers. Reed, I'm going to be like you. What do? Press a button? Top button. Oh, it vibrated. So a quick look at our agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about STEP, what it is, why we do it. And then we'll talk about what we're calling the value of a balanced portfolio. Why do we offer a variety of programs? Is it just because we're here to serve the needs of our customers? Yes. But what else is there behind that? And we'll talk about that. And then our commitment to equity. CPS Energy as an organization has a commitment to equity. We're owned by the community. We are here to be of service to our customers. And so we'll talk about how we're incorporating our commitment to equity in our STEP program. And then I'm going to tag team today with Ms. Deanna Hardwick, who's going to step up and talk a little bit about what her team is doing to reach our customers, to collaborate with community entities, and our outreach efforts. Thank you, Deanna, in a little bit. And then we'll head into some of our new equity-focused programs, what we have done from the inception of this STEP, August 1. So STEP is our Sustainable Tomorrow Energy Plan. It is our commitment to help the community save 410 megawatts in 5 years. And we know that there are benefits in doing this, both short and long-term benefits. If there's anything that I want to take away from this slide, and I'd like you to, is two things. One, it costs us twice as much to go out and procure energy as it does for us to invest in helping our community save energy. And two, all customers benefit from STEP. Whether or not you participate in our STEP programs, you benefit. If you participate in our programs, will you save even more? This is a refresher. I know all of you know this. This is what I call the green slide. I really like it. Our team put it together. It's green, and they know what I mean when I say, let me see the green slide. This is why we do what we do. It is no longer just about saving demand energy. We have a goal. It's 410 megawatts. We know that. But what else are we going to do? Well, we're going to help drive bill savings for customers. So we have a goal around that. We're going to help. We have committed to save 1% of energy savings per year. That third circle there, that's what I'm most passionate about. That's helping address equity. So creating programs that reduce barriers to customer participation, to supporting our limited income and low income customers. Innovation, everything that we do, right? Innovation is supporting new innovative technologies, yes, but also being innovative in our approaches as to how we serve our customers. And then emissions reductions. So 5 years, this is STEP. This is why we do what we do. Every time we design a program, we roll out a program, we make sure that it aligns with our goals. This is a high-level overview of our portfolio of programs. These are the programs that we have available to customers today. And we have always tried to ensure all customers pay into STEP, that we have an offering for everybody. So if you're a residential customer, a small business, a large industrial customer, we have our demand response programs. The programs that we're going to talk about later today are highlighted in that green box. Those are our new equity-focused programs. Okay, so the value of a balanced portfolio. UCT. UCT is our utility cost test. And what this shows us, and the way that's easy for me to understand, because I am not an accountant or a financial major, I will admit that. UCT, a UCT of 1 means for every dollar that we invest in energy conservation or in our STEP program, we receive $1 back. We break even, right? If that's true, what does that mean for weatherization? It means for every dollar, we're so quiet. It means for every dollar that we invest, we get 81 cents back. Man, should we stop doing that? No, absolutely. So if on the flip side, right, commercial energy efficiency, to show what that looks like, for every dollar that we invest in a commercial energy efficiency program, we get $3.41 back. Our target UCT for our entire portfolio, the really high cost-effective programs, and then programs that are more equitable like weatherization, is 1.9. That's how we get to say that for every dollar that we put in, we get 2 back. That is how we get to say that it is twice as much, it costs us twice as much to go out and procure this energy as it does for us to save. So balanced together, 1.9 is what we target. Now, we are a community-owned utility. We exist to be of service to our community. So if we were an investor-owned utility, sure. Why would we do weatherization, right? But our obligation is to our community, and we know that it's the right thing to do. And either way, it is a good investment because when we blend it all together, it is still a good investment for our community at a target UCT of 1.9. So the takeaway is weatherization alone, not cost effective. That we know. As much as I would love to do equity-focused programs for the rest of my life, I know that it wouldn't be cost effective. So we blend it, and we should blend it. All customers pay into step. We should have offerings for all of our customers. So let's talk about why. Why is weatherization so maybe not cost effective? Well, blue is our share of the investment, right? So for weatherization, CPS Energy pays for all of the measures that are installed, 100%. The average incentive is $5,000. On average, we install $5,000 worth of energy efficient measures for weatherization. So the UCT, right, cost benefit, right, the cost of avoided generation with our cost of and our cost to actually run the program is 0.81, sure. On the flip side, with an HVAC rebate, it's 2.85. Customers pick up 95% of that cost. We incentivize 5%, and really it's to go above and beyond and make that expense for a more efficient unit. Maybe I shouldn't have asked for questions at the end. Okay. So weatherization. Oh, absolutely. Yes. How do I go back? Yes, ma'am.
So just wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Wanted to ask a question on the HVAC rebates. This is a rebate for everyone who gets a new system? What does that mean, HVAC rebates?
That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. It's over and above code. It is the more efficient unit. So it is something that you don't have to buy according to code. If you choose to invest in a higher SEER unit, then we help offset the cost of your upfront investment. So it isn't just for every HVAC unit. Okay, I take it back. End of the presentation. Yes, Dana.
So what if you didn't do any of the HVAC or the other thermostats? Have you run numbers like that about how much you would save by not spending the money?
Yes, I'm looking. Yeah, sure. We have and only doing equity program.
The weatherization's fine, but the others, why do that?
Again, going back to help. Do you want to?
Question again?
Why even spend the 5%? Are you encouraging people to buy even a better unit? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And it's for the savings, right? If we're going to hit our goal of saving 410 megawatts, we cannot do it alone with weatherization.
Well, maybe, what I'm trying to get at is that if you didn't do that, how much would you save?
Yeah.
Do you mean that?
I mean,
How much would we save?
what I'm saying is that people are going to do that anyway, is what I think. And so aren't you saving money by people putting in an efficient unit?
I think oh, sorry. Do you want to?
How you doing? How you doing? I'm Justin Chamberlain. I work on the STEP program also on his team here. Good question. So we don't rebate a customer for getting a new AC, right? So we don't tell a customer, hey, if you buy a new AC, we're going to give you a rebate. We rebate them
I
for
thought that's
going.
what she just said.
What she was saying, it's above and beyond code. And so if you have to replace an AC, you have to do code, right? You can't get anything over code. And I believe code right now is 15 SEER. So you go out and buy a 15 SEER, no rebate. But if you go above the SEER to, let's say, a 16 or a 17 SEER, that's where we give you a rebate because you are saving money by going above what you had to do. And the whole point of the rebate is to get you to pay for that incremental cost. So, all right, if we paid 0, that's what you would invest. You were just buying a new unit. But the point of the rebate is to say, okay, well, I'm going to spend $400 more or $500 more to get one that is more efficient than the one I have to buy because I have to replace it because it broke. Typically what's happening, we actually also incentivize people for replacing one early if it's inefficient. So we'll pay a higher rebate. So the idea is get them to replace that older unit with one that is higher than code, more efficient, and it's about 25% of the additional cost. And so about a 4-year payback for a customer to be able to get a more efficient unit than a code-based one. So that one's a little bit different. It's based off energy modeling. And so if a customer is building a new building or a new house, there's a code that they have to do. Yeah. So if you're building a new house, what we say is you have to either do 15% above what code requires or 30%. So we have different rebates to get a rebate. And so And so if you're just buying a unit, right, you don't get the rebate. What we're saying is we want to incentivize you to go above and beyond what you have to do. And so that's the point of the rebate, is to encourage that action and to get them to buy a more efficient AC unit.
Thank you, Justin. So it is, I mean, the idea of an incentive is to encourage, to incentivize you to go above and beyond, and that's where we get the savings. Yes.
So let's be clear here on this, this metric, okay? This metric is not cash on cash, right up, okay? It's cash, we're out cash, and then we impute the savings over a period of time and discount it back, okay? So there's a lot of estimates in all of these. They're not bad, they're engineering in most cases, but in some cases they're not. But if you've done that air conditioner, then apparently we put in, I don't know what we pay, but about $530. So we'll put $530 in. They might put a little bit more in. And so the way we're seeing that we get that big saving, I mean, more than the 1%, is that we're imputing that we're not going to generate power by fuel, putting investment in and all that out in the future. So it's not a real cash on cash. You just need to understand that that's pretty much industry standard. Okay.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm just wondering, and first of all, I like the STEP program. I think this is all great. But as far as operating the STEP program, I understand where the Wi-Fi thermostat might be inherently CPS's mission. But the other pieces, I'm wondering if the HVAC area and the weatherization area, if that's a part of a program the city could run, because it doesn't seem like it's really inherently part of CPS's core mission of delivering energy. Is there a need for CPS to run most of this STEP program? Could it just as easily be run by the city? In other words, we could still fund it, but
yeah, I think,
City doesn't have a revenue source, and CPS does through the STEP program, charging it through the fuel adjustment. I don't know exactly how the city would get the money for this, just to be honest with you. That came up in '09 when we first started this. There was a big debate. You're right on a good point. There was a big debate between should the city do it, should CPS do it? And if you look at most of the utilities, since we serve not just the city of San Antonio, but we serve a lot of other small cities and county areas. So it would get very confusing in trying to deal with a multitude of customers in different jurisdictions in order to get treated the same. It was just almost impossible.
thank you, Reed. So we'll talk a.
Hang a minute, are you watching the?
Uh-oh.
Can we put Al up and let him ask his question?
Absolutely.
All right, we got to take this down and put Al up.
Talk about bad angles.
There he is.
Use the mic, ask him.
Ask him to mic.
Yeah.
Al, can you ask your question, please?
Okay, just read it.
Do you want me to read it, Ann? I'm closer. Okay, so what is the participation of the more efficient HVAC or industry sales ratio of code versus higher efficiency units? And my team member here just said last year we rebated 5,800 HVAC systems, residential HVAC systems. So that was last year. That went above and beyond code.
Yeah, but that one's.
Well, it said, oh, now I lost it.
I don't know what you have.
Now I can't see it. I'm sure that we can get that. Okay, so diving in a little bit about our actual programs, we'll talk a little bit about our weatherization program and our enhancements. And so when we talk about our equitable programs, we want to look at it from both perspectives, right? Absolutely equitable for our customers, but also as a community-owned utility, we want to ensure that we're being equitable with our partners. And so we did two things to enhance weatherization on two fronts. Behind the scenes, our customers will not see this, but what we have done is we issued an RFP earlier this year to break up our weatherization program to help encourage more participation from local small businesses. So the businesses that are able to actually weatherize the homes will now be able to work directly with CPS Energy. And we think that that's the right thing to do. Our commitment to the community is to help grow these small businesses. And so we'll have more information to share on that, hopefully in the next month or two. But that is one way that we have enhanced our weatherization program. Secondly, we're going to talk a little bit about targeted outreach. And I know Ann and her team are doing some really good work, and they're going to come back next month to talk about what we're doing. And it revolves around energy burden and identifying our customers with the most need via energy burden so that we can go out and offer our services. The other thing we did is we've started a home repair fund. And it's interesting to think that for every customer that qualifies for weatherization, there's another customer whose home doesn't qualify because of minor structural issues. And so for every 2 applications that come in, we're only able to weatherize 1. So when you multiply that out, we know that there are lots of customers out there who just need minor repairs, and they're not able to do that. And so right now in the pipeline, we have about 9,000 customers needing just minor repairs. And so we have created this fund to help repair small roof leaks, plumbing repairs, small electrical repairs, carpentry, so that we're able to weatherize those homes. And so we think that that will be anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per home. And so we're really excited about that so that we can bring weatherization to more customers. We've also created a role, it's called our community ambassador. And Peter, we have talked a lot about collaborating. And so this role here, hopefully will address just that, right? It's a new role to help us continue to build relationships. Deanna and her team are out in the community multiple times a day throughout the year. But this community ambassador, in terms of funding and partnerships and collaboration, will help take a lead in that. So I'm excited about getting you on board with that. So again, these program enhancements, we have not stopped weatherizing homes. There has been no interruption in service for our customers. Since August 1, when this program went into effect, we have weatherized 1,120 homes. And the average annual savings for these customers is over $500. Again, going back to our commitment to equity, We have expanded our eligibility. And so typically what weatherization was, it was income qualified. That's it. We've expanded that to include energy burden, which I know many of you know, and Ann and her team are helping us with that. So energy burden, that's greater than 10% of the annual household income, those customers now qualify for weatherization. We've also, again, to address equity, is we are developing a multifamily weatherization program. Now, historically, these customers have not been able to participate in our weatherization program because they are renters. And so we have created that program, which we'll talk about here. And so we're expanding that eligibility to meet their needs. And then, of course, pre-qualifying customers that receive other types of low-income assistance, and that goes back to Deanna and her team's efforts. External funding, the minor home repair fund, other partnerships, and then that data-driven outreach that Ann's team is helping us with. And overall, we've increased funding to 28% of our overall STEP budget to focus on supporting our limited income customers. Yes.
So, previous slide, the previous one, I think you were, okay. I thought I heard you say 9,000 homes that CPS is not able to weatherize because of minor repairs. So that means there's 9,000 homes on the list that need to be done. And that is since August 2022, you found those 9,000? Okay. So this is a program that has started, correct? The minor repair, minor home. Okay, so that's a lot of homes.
It is.
How many people are working in terms of these minor home repairs to be able to get to 9,000?
I'm sorry.
How many CPS individuals do you have there that are focused on these minor home repairs?
We're looking at the team.
Are you contracting?
Well,
so what we've done is that we've changed the model as we had previously talked about for weatherization, where we're being the primary point of contact for weatherization and doing this, we're working with contractors. So we do have, we've hired 4 folks here and under a team in the community engagement team that are focusing on making sure that we are tying this together. So it's 4 in CPS employees, and then we are finalizing the RFP and selection for what contractors we're going to use.
And then the last question on the community ambassador, is that one ambassador or ambassadors?
I'm not doing it right. I'm sorry. Well, we are all ambassadors, but this is a role, and we'll see. It's a new role, so we'll see what that looks like. And then to Deanna's point, once we onboard our partners and vendors, it will be a larger team that will go out and circle back with those 9,000 customers. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question. You mentioned that that we would have ambassadors and a RAC member would be appointed. Is it just limited to one RAC person to serve as a community ambassador? You mentioned
Peter, no. We have just had, no. You are welcome to be an ambassador. We can all be ambassadors. No, we've just had conversations. Peter has wanted to talk about collaborating and getting other entities together. It is not a RAC member. We've just had conversations as a stakeholder.
So are you open that up for others who would like?
Yes, absolutely. We've talked about creating a working group, right? Every time we develop new program offerings, we look for stakeholder engagement. So if you're interested in offering feedback, participating, happy to connect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dana, let me answer a question maybe a little more directly now that I've seen some of these slides. If you go back and you look on that bar chart, it shows that our average incentive, I assume that's what we spend, is 5,000 a house. And if you look on the next page, the average savings is 517. So it's about a 10-year payout. That's why it's so low.
Oh, this is over 10 years.
Well, the
It
5,000,
says annual savings.
correct me if I'm wrong, but the 5,000 we put in up front, correct?
That's the cost of the measures.
Yeah,
yes.
and then the individual, okay, the average individual. Now, it doesn't count what we might save in not building a unit or something, but what the individual annual savings, if I read this right, I don't know, is $517. So CPS is putting 5,000 in, the customer is saving 517 a year.
Well, I don't mean to ask a mathematical question
Well,
here.
that was just the
but-
answer. I mean.
No, but it's not the answer.
Okay, well, I
because
thought that was.
If you're saving $517 a year, and you have to qualify in some manner, and at last meeting, we were talking about the people that qualified were only making $5,000 a year. I mean, so I would like to see the math laid out, in other words. I mean, I'm not disputing that we're saving money, but last month, I think we said the average bill was, $100 a month or something?
Yeah, but Dana, my point was, I'm sorry, a little different. It takes 10 years.
It says
that-
annual right there on the chart,
It
annual
takes 10,
savings.
it takes 10 years to get the $5,000 back.
What's the 500 then?
That's what the individual saves in their home, I guess.
Well, what would their bill have to be for them to
Well,
save
that's a year.
$500 a
I don't
year?
know, maybe it would be,
That's all I'm
12
asking.
or
I'm
14.
just saying the math doesn't seem to work out. And I'm not trying to ask a mathematical question.
yeah.
But it should be laid out. So let's see what it looks like here. And I'm not even disputing that you're saving that money, but it doesn't make sense to me that if you're weatherizing homes for people that, having trouble paying their bills, that seems like a lot of money, in other words.
Well, it's a lot, but we've also invested a lot. 5,000 is a lot of winterization in a home, Dana. And so if you divide that, by 12, you're gonna get 40-something dollars a month they're saving. Okay. I don't know, maybe
Well,
they're,
if they're saving 20% and 20%,
I have a quick question, actually, about that.
okay, well,
Not to interrupt you, I'm so sorry.
let's just finish.
I don't think we've finished this discussion. I'm happy to have you answer
It's a math
question.
question too.
Okay, go ahead.
Back to, I want to make sure I understand this just very quickly. To me, when I look at it, it's that, the annual incentive, how much we've spent, or we average spend on weatherization is $5,000. And for that $5,000, we get $4,050 back, right? So it's not dollar for dollar. And then that 517 annual savings, my question is that, to me, it made sense that 517 annual savings is the customer's annual savings. It wasn't CPS Energy
No,
savings. So
right.
the correlation that you made there was completely independent numbers. Is that right,
right.
Corey?
That's right.
That's right.
That's
But
right.
Dana's asking another question. He's saying if a customer that's a low-income customer that maybe has a bill of $100 a month, and you look at that savings, that's a pretty large savings. Is that reasonable, okay, with doing $5,000 worth of?
Well, is it accurate, and it just doesn't seem to
Well-
make sense.
Okay,
There's a
well, I
missing-
can't answer that question, but I'm just saying they can work on it. It's a good point. But average bill,
Okay,
the average bill is
$200 a month.
thanks.
And so, you're saving around what you were talking about. And it could be possible to save $35, $40 on $200.
The average bill, Corey, the average bill for the people that you weatherize,
Just total. All kinds of-
is that it?
That's just our average bill based on kind of how you'd measure it through the standard metrics. So it's 1,000.
The average, but what we're looking for is the average bill of the homes that are weatherized, not the average bill.
I don't think we've taken a subset of 30,000 people. And honestly, I would argue that they're probably within that average anyways.
So the 30,000 people, you're saying their average bill was $200 a month?
Today, yeah. You want to answer that?
Yeah, so we talked about this last month, and so so I have the slide that we showed last month. So what we did was we looked at remember our first quintile customers, lowest income group? And so we looked at what the average bill is for the customers in that group, and it was about $1,100 a month. So 1,380 a year. so
Wait.
12,
Wait, not $1,100 a month.
I'm sorry. It's 1,300 a year. So divide that by 12. So it's $120 a month, let's say.
So you're saying you're going to save $517 on a $1,300 bill?
Yeah, per year. Yeah. So you're talking,
Points made, it's a big savings.
Well, yeah, but I don't believe it, is what I'm saying.
So the biggest thing is, and we could talk about and bring some of the information back to you, Dana, but the biggest thing is if you think about homes that are inefficient, and all of a sudden what we've done is we've helped with the insulation in the house, right? So that's going to help keep the cool air in during the summer and the warm air in during the winter. So, and we've helped with little things like sealing around windows. We really are targeting those homes that are extremely inefficient, and a lot of it has to do with age. So by the $5,000 of investment helps prevent and does help reduce that impact. And we can show what that is, and we can go back and pull that data. But because of the inefficiency in the home, the customers do experience that type of bill relief.
All I'm saying is that, yeah, I believe that, this is the right thing to do and everything, but I cannot believe that you're going to save $500 a year on a $1,300 bill by weather stripping or weatherizing the windows and doors and putting insulation in. And I'd like to see that. I mean, if we're going to discuss this, I think we ought to have some audited type numbers so we can see that.
well, I'll tell you that we do evaluate this program every year. It's not quite an audit, but it is a very thorough evaluation.
I mean, it doesn't have to be an audit, but I'd like to see some.
Right. And so these numbers are coming right out of that report done by a third party. So,
Yeah.
so we have the data if that's something we want to do.
Well, I don't believe the third party is what
Okay.
I'm saying.
Let's go back here. Frontier, when they did their report, they do it, they desk audit customers, okay? They don't survey all data. So you can get Dana the last Frontier report, okay? And they go into it there, but they will tell you that is a weakness in their process, in that they desk audit, okay, to get these savings. They don't take the whole universe, get the number and get the average. If I remember right, I could be wrong, but they desk audit. They pick so many as a sample. They do a sampling as opposed to a full calculation thing.
So but I don't believe it, in other words, and we should take a look at it because it just doesn't seem even close to being
We
true.
can share with you the section in the report that explains exactly how they do it. And maybe that would help you. But at the end of the day, it's
I
back
doubt
up
it. I
back
have to
again.
go see the houses myself, probably.
Okay, well, yeah.
Well, I'm not trying to be argumentative here,
No,
but
I
I
understand.
mean, this just seems like it's just way too much. And I'm not against the program, but I can't believe that you're saving that kind of money by spending $5,000 where you're taking their bill like in half.
Okay, well, we can provide that section.
We will, Dana, and we're happy to talk with you.
Al, you have a question? Al? He was having audio problems earlier, so if you can pull up the people and we can see it in the chat, please.
Yeah. I just want to just add to this from personal experience. I had a house built, I can't remember when it was. The bill for that house, somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 and something a month. The one that I just finished building back in 2007 is at least 1,400 square feet larger, and the bill is half of basically what it would be if I had not put all that extra energy in there. So I cut about half, and I did a little more. I did Conex blocks on it and a bunch of other stuff that you probably won't do winterizing, but I can attest that it makes a big difference. And then, of course, I add my solar panels on top of that. So I understand exactly what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
Turn it on, at least see it. Oh, you will eventually. Come on, just turn it on, see if that'll make it.
Let's see here. Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go.
All right. All right. Here we go. All right. Of the identified 9,000 homes that still need minor home repairs, of these homes needing repair, are these homes rentals? And if they're rentals, the city of San Antonio just passed an ordinance where the property owner has to do the maintenance. Can we go that route to help the renter? Lean on the landlord. And if that's, if we could do that, then we can prioritize the low income homeowner properties that we want to help.
Al, thank you for that question. So yes, some of them are renters, not all of them. A lot of them own their own property, but that's where those relationships with the city of San Antonio to see what we can leverage with their programs, their new program, and then historically, ACOG's been another big partner of ours to make sure. Yes, Michael.
Okay, with that, also the some of the repairs, I'm close to the electrical industry. Some of the repairs can't be done, even though they're minor repairs, they have to be brought up to code. What happens in that case?
So the 9,000 homes that we've identified, that does include work to bring it up to code.
Well, let's be careful with that. Did you tell me that you're refusing to winterize if something's not up to code in the house, unlike like the box or something? You won't winterize. No.
It's a difference in difference in maintaining versus improving.
Right.
Okay, you're required to maintain is what it is. You're not required to quote unquote improve. Now, if you have to do a repair, whatever, a hot water heater, okay, you got to put the tank on it. So when you do improve it in that repair in that arena, you do have to go to code with it. But other than that, maintaining and improving is two different things.
Yeah, because we need to get that clear.
Taking it a step further, because of the electrification that is being promoted by the current administration, does that mean that we will only install electric ranges and electric water heaters, which may mean that we have to totally upgrade the electrical system to accommodate the new load?
As part of our program, we don't do appliances. So it's just working with the existing infrastructure in the house. So if they have gas, then it's just working with that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Michael, let me ask a very correct question that I'm still not clear on. If you go there, and like Wayne was just saying, and the panel is not up to code, but it's working, okay? It's not defective, it's working. Are you going to go ahead and winterize that house? Or are you going to say, no, you have to bring that panel up to code? That's what I've been trying to understand.
We will weather it.
Okay, they will weather it.
We will weatherize. Okay.
Okay, I'm just trying to get something straight in my head regarding landlords and tenants. Does this program apply to tenants, and is the landlord obligated to pay for this, or will the city obligate the landlord to pay for this at a later date?
Our weatherization program specifically is free for customers. And so if the tenant is the account holder and they qualify, we can weatherize the home. All the landlord has to do is give us authorization to make the improvements. Anita, did you have a question?
Just, I just want to say I really appreciate the presentation, and, I get it. And I know many of us do, San Antonio, it's not lost on us that we are in the largest, most impoverished city in the United States. And when we start talking about weatherization and going in, and especially during this home repair fund, I know I live in a community where I drive down my street and I have neighbors that don't have a roof, that are missing like a side of their house, or have never had air conditioning. So, I see the benefit to the community, but also just the value and the benefit to the customer, who we are here to serve and who own us. I want to go back and ask a separate question. You said, today 28% of STEP is really focused on these equity programs. Can you tell me what our improvement is over, now that we've moved into the era of equity? what was it in the past? And I just kind of want to also quickly say that, I'm really proud of our community for moving in this direction because, a lot of this to me is also not just about the savings, it's about resiliency and the survival of people, not just electrification or providing power, but their ability to adapt and to survive against extreme weather. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. And I think to answer your question, our previous budget was 16%. So we've increased it from 16 to 28%. I think we can move on. All right. Thank you, Deanna.
Thank you. So I'm just going to talk on a few slides here about how our outreach team and how from a customer perspective, how we're pulling this all together. A lot of times, I think when we think about conservation or STEP specifically, we think either like one way or the other, right? It's all solar or it's all weatherization, but it's a host of options, and it's how do we pull that together to help the individual or the house. So what we try to do is take kind of a comprehensive approach, and we're continuing to build upon it. And it's really these 4 areas: target outreach, case management, partnerships, and program enhancements. And the STEP programs that we have available to us are those key ones. So it's weatherization, and if we can do the thermostat programs, we'll do a home energy assessment. So it's doing that whole experience just for from a STEP perspective and conservation perspective. But then it's also what else does that customer need? So that hopefully helps get to the front end of the program, but it's on the back end. How are we helping them manage the bill that they have already? So it's installment plans. It's getting them signed up on our budget payment plan. We also have senior citizen billing programs, critical care billing programs. So it's a matter of tying those 2 together. And in order to get there, we also need to make sure that we have the right ability to get people enrolled in those programs. So we have continued to find ways to make this process as least painful as possible, but to get the information that we need so that we can qualify customers as part of this. And so whenever we sign someone up for affordability discount program, also seeing if they're interested in weatherization. So having that conversation. Also, if someone's in an affordability discount program and they told us their age, for instance, then we can go ahead and sign them up for the late fee waiver on the senior citizens program. So it really is leveraging the information in our program enrollment to help them with sign up for all of the programs we have. And then the last piece is making sure that we have the right partners. So, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, but by doing that, we're helping not just their energy needs, but helping their whole household. And that's really what our goals are. And so the team that we have to support them, I think on the next slide, here we go. We have a dedicated community engagement team. A lot of times you'll see our community response unit out there, and we have Laura Jacobs from that team here. So we do have a dedicated team. It's going to be, we've grown it a little bit with the weatherization folks that we're focusing on to manage the relationship there with the contractors and the customers. But just over the last 6 months, for example, we've had over 600 events and been able to interact with 4,100 or 41,000 customers. And it's not just the community engagement team that we have. Y'all know Ann, and you've heard Anna over here referred to Ann. One of Ann's primary jobs is customer experience, which is really a lot of the data mining. It's going through understanding who the customers are, what their usage is. We're in the process of building in the energy burden into customer level data. But at the same time, it's how do we connect? How do we know how to target the communications to those customers for our corporate communications team, as well as for our outreach team? And then also because our team on the community engagement side is a pretty small team, it's less than 20 folks. We also have our customer service team that partners. So when you see us out at different fairs, if you come see, and Dr. Cantu, thank you very much. I know that you have attended our fairs, and Dee Dee and Anakwa, I want to say thank you all as well, because you're inviting us out there. You'll see our team members, and it's Laura's team, our customer service team, and a lot of us behind the scenes. And On the next slide, I want to talk about really how that all comes together in one bundled customer care experience and really bringing together in what the partnerships look like and how that helps the individual customers. So we have a whole bunch of options up here, and these are just a small snippet of our customers, our partners, but you can see a more comprehensive list, and we're adding to that list. It's in the appendix. But we have everything here from water to pet supplies, right? Because everybody's struggling. And one of the key relationships that we've been able to develop used to be Saha, now it's called Opportunity Home. But our partnership with them has been extremely important to us. So what they do is whenever they get someone into one of their housing units at Opportunity Home, one of the requirements of staying there is to release, to share data. So their usage, energy usage with Saha or Opportunity Home now. So Opportunity Home can help them with conservation efforts. So they get to get usage. At the same time, they're able to tell us who their residents are. So we can automatically, I say automatically, we get a list and we have a handful of folks that manually enroll them, but we automatically enroll them in ADP as well as what other programs we have based on the information that we're able to get through the data share agreement, the MOU, memo of understanding that we have with Opportunity Home. And then we're also able to build a relationship to have targeted conversations. So ARPA, for example, whenever we had the $20 million of ARPA funds, all the Saha locations, Opportunity Home locations, they were our first stop, right? Putting pamphlets out there, sharing information. Rudy had I think a monthly meeting with the CEO there. They're one of our first stops for communication and to have fairs, because we know that these are customers that really do qualify for the majority of programs out there. But it doesn't stop there. We also have a key relationship with CareLink. So they're more on the healthcare side, but by getting a relationship with CareLink, we're able to identify who needs to be enrolled in critical care. So that's a different critical care. It has a different billing program. And then we get to have that opportunity for enrolling them in ADP potentially, as well as offering other programs and services for them. We're continuing to work on a relationship with the food bank. And so these have been things that we've been doing for years and continuing to evolve. I'll tell you a little bit about what we've done recently. So as I said, we're continuing to try and refine our approach to identify who are the customers that can benefit the most from our programs. So on March 20th, we held a fair here in partnership with Bexar County. We sent out, Ann's team identified a list of customers that have the highest balance and we believed would qualify, and sent targeted messages out, over 3,000 targeted messages out. We had close to 700 people show up here in this building. So our folks, along with Bexar County, we had a really good delegation, signing people up for the money that Bexar County had identified. And so far, again, this was just in March 20th, so far, we're close to $1 million of assistance for those customers. And when we think about, was it a good, from a data perspective, was that the right customer list? On average, a good turnout is 10 to 20%. We had over 20% turnout. So it's over industry standard in terms of who's going to show up. So clearly had the right customers, and being able to identify the dollars, we were also able to have the right messaging. And that's also important. So we told people, what do you need to bring? People showed up here and said, okay, you told me I needed to bring my income statement, whatever it was. They had their list on their phone, in their email, however they got the message. And so that helped us be able to move them through. So we have those types of wins, and we're continuing to refine to make sure that as we look at STEP programs, as we look at other programs that we have, or as we're trying to identify who should be eligible for the right equity-based programs, we know who to contact and how to get to them. And we're not stopping there. Next week, I have a meeting, and my team and I have a meeting with Workforce Solutions. Again, going back to trying to help the entire household, one thing that we've talked about is they have dollars to be able to assign to utility bills, But what they want to do is they want to be able to say, hey, we have training programs. So if we sign them up for utility relief, this is an opportunity for us to educate people on what training opportunities that we have, and also potentially help folks find a new opportunity, a new job. So it's not just helping on the front end with weatherization options. It's partnering with the community to identify job potential job offerings and whatever else could be out there. So that's how we're bringing it all together and continuing to work as we move forward, looking at this program or any of the other programs that we have. And I know, Anna, you're going to talk more about the specific to STEP. Yeah. Thank you.
No, thank you, Deanna. We may develop the programs, but it is such a collaboration to hear all the things that your team does to help get these programs to our customers. No, thank you. So we'll talk a little bit more. I took my watch off. I don't know how much longer I have, but a little bit more about some of the specific programs that we have launched since August that have an equity focus. And so this one here is a home energy assessment. We are offering free home energy assessments to all residential CPS Energy customers. No income, it's not income bearing, it's just free. And so what this does is we have energy specialists who will go to your house. So you can sign up, you can call us, you can sign up online, you can come to our community fairs and we'll sign you up, and you schedule a date and we'll have an energy specialist go to your house, walk around your house, look for energy saving opportunities. While they're there, they will install free energy saving products such as LED bulbs, and they will share a customized energy report that identifies the areas that you can invest in saving. But while they're there, they will take the opportunity to cross-promote other programs, other STEP programs. So if it looks like your insulation is low, they'll talk to you about our rebate for insulation. If you could use an HVAC tune-up, they'll talk to you about that program. So it's getting in the door and then being able to cross-promote our other STEP programs. Since August, we have launched this program, and we have provided 677 home energy assessments free of charge to our customers. And on average, the annual savings is about $38. And so there are some of our outreach, again, thanks to Anne, we're going to keep saying your name, Anne. Thanks to Anne and all of her team's efforts, we have sent out targeted emails and direct mailers and postcards, and we talk to folks when they come to our community events. This is another new program. This is an HVAC tune-up. So if you're not ready or don't need to invest in a brand new HVAC unit or air conditioning unit, we recommend tuning it up. This is also free for all of our customers. And we've got trade allies or contractors who have enrolled in our program. They're familiar with it. They know what to do. It's free to the customer, and it's a comprehensive assessment of the HVAC system. And so the idea is that it is a tune-up. Somebody said it to me, it's like a car. You go tune up your car, you tune up your HVAC system. And it can improve cooling output by up to 25%. And again, this is free. You can sign up online, call us, talk to us. And to date, since August, we've had almost 1,500 customers take advantage of this new free STEP program. And that is an example of a door hanger. Our marketing collateral is bilingual, and so that is the Spanish version of or side of the door hanger. A retail discount program. What we have done, we have tweaked this program. I don't know if anybody ever went to some of the stores last year and saw some discounts. Well, what we have done is we have targeted LMI areas, and we've changed the locations of where we are offering these discounted LED bulbs. And so you can see here, we are at Dollar Tree, Salvation Army, True Value, Habitat for Humanity, the Restore. And we are doing this in LMI areas where our LMI customers shop. And to date, we had to double check the number, Dana, but to date, since August, we have incentivized over 380,000 light bulbs, LED bulbs. And so it has been success. It is doing exactly what we wanted it to do. It's getting in the hands of our LMI customers, and the average discount is 60% off of an LED bulb. So what we are in the process of doing is expanding this for other measures. Maybe it's window units, but things that you don't have to go apply for a rebate, you get the discount right at the register, right at the store. This one we're excited about, our new multifamily offering. So historically, oh yes, the last one. This one? Oh, here.
That's fine. I'm just curious, can people even buy an incandescent light bulb anymore? In other words, when somebody's light bulb burns out, even if you don't give them a free one, they're going to go to the store. And I think they can only buy an LED bulb now.
I think they still sell incandescents. Yeah. Yes. So our multifamily offering, again, I mentioned it earlier, historically, we have not had a weatherization, customers who rented or lived in a multifamily complex that could qualify for weatherization could not participate in that program. And we had offerings, but they were limited. And so we knew that this was a segment, a huge segment that we wanted to target. And so the purpose was to expand our weatherization program and bring it to customers, LMI customers in multifamily units. We are saying that eligible properties are 4 units or more, and they need to be owned and operated by a nonprofit, or 25% of the tenants need to receive some type of low-income assistance. And we're finalizing the actual program structure, but it will be a weatherization program. So LMI customers who live in apartments will get the same benefits as a single-family resident. So weatherization, but insulation and all of the other measures that we do, we will bring to a multifamily complex. So we're finalizing the program structure, hope to launch that here in the fall. All right, questions? Would you like me to? If there, sure. Okay, so to address Reed's point, we are starting with individual metered complexes. I think I remember hearing, maybe it was from this group last year, where how do we know that the customer is really getting the benefit, right? What if it's a master metered? I don't want to use the term slum, but somebody said, right? What if it's a master metered? How do we know that they're getting the savings, right? If we're reducing the bill for the landlord, well, how does that translate to the customer? And so what we are saying is, one, we're starting with individual metered units, complexes, right? That's where we're hitting first. We've talked to Opportunity Home, to Deanna's point, we have a great partnership with them, and we think that's the place to start. But after that, what we said is that we will make sure that we have an agreement in place where the benefit flows down to the customer. So we will work with the landlord to make sure that we can justify what the savings is, and that savings is handed back down to the customer. So not only will the tenant get the benefit of the comfort of all the measures, right, the insulation and all the energy savings, they'll also see the savings in what they pay. Yes, answer your question, Reed? Thank you. So again, following through on our commitment, every program that we have launched since August has had an equity focus. The new programs launched that we talked about, our home energy assessments, our tune-ups, and our discount program in LMI targeted areas of the city. In the next 3 to 6 months, we will have our reimagined weatherization. So we will launch our partnership with all of our new vendors. We will start doing a lot of the work that we talked about in terms of energy burden and community ambassador and our repair fund. We will have our multifamily weatherization program up, and then Alan mentioned community solar. Community solar is on our radar, and we will be working towards that too. So at the end of the day, when we talk about equity, it isn't just serving our low-income customers, but it's also reducing the barriers for them, for all of our customers to participation, and that is our commitment with this new STEP program. Thank you. Yes, Peter.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Deanna, as well, for the presentation. And thank you, Reed, for providing the affordability triangle and the process that we're working through. And I really appreciate the opportunity to flesh out the STEP program. And just to have a couple of questions, but just kind of want to preface what I think will help with the ultimate question, with the insight into the investments that we're making. And when we voted for STEP, and I'm glad to be back at the table where we can come back to asking those questions again, that we wanted to study it deeper. And as you can hear, these are still the questions that are still outstanding on STEP. And it's an investment that we're making. And Reed had said, and I agree, that it is also a rate design issue. And very specifically, we're paying into it. The customers are investing. These are our investments. So how we move forward with as much as we invest. And also want to thank you, Ann, and that work that you did when we were preparing to vote. Each customer received a letter that showed exactly how much you paid into the STEP program personally or as a business. And we were able to see that so that we could have that insight, much to the points that Dana was making, specifically, what are we investing, and then trying to consider the studies that were being done and the opportunities that we have going forward. So a couple of questions, because during that time I had asked about this, how we're going to maximize, and I also want to thank Jonathan, of course, Rudy, and the whole team that focused, and I really appreciate that. I do believe it is a good faith effort to concentrate on the LMI customers. Thank you for that. And I've been tracking it throughout this time. And so I greatly appreciate the effort, and all the things that you presented today are proof of that. Now, the devil's in the details, and I think that's where we are today. So 2 questions. First is that ambassador, the community ambassador, how soon will that person be engaged in the process, and what is the job description for that person, and under which department will he work? Is community engagement? And so that's the first question. And the second is tied to that additional funding. So we're talking about supplementing and the benefit we get for increasing, because I know there was a group that voted for increasing this STEP program. So with the funds that are available at a federal level, the IRA specifically, can you speak to what the status is of those funds and how CPS is preparing to seek that funding here in the short term as we consider what we're doing to maximize and also to offset the costs that we're paying into it possibly?
So I'll start with your first question. The community ambassador, that we anticipate that role being on just in a couple of months. And to clarify, we are all community ambassadors on the CPS Energy team, but that role was asked during our RFP process. We asked our partners, specifically the customer management partner that's going to help us implement the weatherization program, to dedicate a role that would be out in the community, helping to bridge those gaps for us. So we're finalizing the contracts that we think we should have here in the next 2 months. Was your second question specific to IRA funding, which we talked about? Yes?
Yes.
Was that
IRA,
specific?
yes.
I don't have the details of IRA funding. I think, Jonathan briefly mentioned during our meeting that it's still a lot to be determined, right? But I don't know if anybody else, but I think, yeah, I think a lot of that, we're all waiting and seeing and listening, but I think it's all to be determined.
Okay, well, and I know that you've shared some details, and I just want to be prepared as we consider the opportunities that are there with the narrative, right? That would be prepared, whatever that we are going to do, considering the IRA or any type of funding that we're partnering in. I just strongly recommend that we continue to build or create the narrative that would put us in a position, because if we wait until the RFP is put out and now all the details are there, we don't have a plan in place for who we're going to partner with and how we're going to be positioned to seek those funds, we'll not be in the best position to secure those funds. And I'll say this about that process of creating the narrative, is that I think it's necessary to be done whether we get the funding or not. And I'll reference the working group and that was mentioned earlier about that. It's not part of the community ambassador, but working that process as a lead component is the working group, to be able to be sure that we're factoring in all the opportunities that we have in the partnership, so that when we create that narrative here in the short term, and that's my appeal, is that we continue to work with the city, Neighborhood and Housing Services, Office of Sustainability, and ACOG, as you referenced, but in a very intentional way, with that narrative in mind, and building that narrative, I think, between here and whenever we do seek funding, whether it's this next tranche of funding or whenever we do have funding. I just want to be sure that we're in the best position. And when we do vote, or whatever that process is going to be for a recommendation, I'll say it today and I'll repeat it when we get closer. But I think that should be one of the recommendations that we put forth to the board, that continue to maximize the LMI customer and evaluate the other programs as we go forward, so we can leverage those funds and really have a targeted energy efficiency weatherization program. But thank you.
No, thank you. And I think to Deanna's really awesome slide with all of the logos and our partnerships, I think we're right there with you. Partnerships are the way to go.
Okay, we got one more question from Christopher, and then we're going to take a break and we'll come back and have an hour and a half to talk, if that's okay. If you, can you hold till after the break? I mean, because they're ready to go. And let's just, Christopher's question, I'll just paraphrase it, is in looking at the returns for weatherization, is there any calculations, additions put in there, benefits, either quantified or qualified, to doing the weatherizations to prevent, is there a cost, is there a benefit imputed into it for the winter, the global warming and power outages? I don't know if Frontier, I don't remember Frontier doing that, but maybe somebody else remembers the report better than I do. Go ahead, you got somebody over here. Go ahead. Anybody?
All on the same team.
Yeah. No, there's not a calculation.
All right, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Simple.
All right, thank you. All right. If you got a quick one, we can get it and then break. Don't want to move, don't want to lose your trend.
Now, the question I had is that when we talk about community ambassadors, and your comments were that we're all community ambassadors, and that's almost analogous to say we're all CPS Energy. We're customers. I'm just making sure that members of the RAC committee who have expressed an interest to be a part of a ambassadorship, if you will, can have that opportunity to be a part of the synergy in how that is created.
Everybody's going to hear me now. Outside of the RAC, you are a stakeholder, and we welcome stakeholder feedback and participation. So yes.
Okay. So that means, yes, that CPS is going to take the initiative to contact members of the RAC to ensure that they are part, if that is their sentiment of investment, if they want to be a part of it. That's my question.
The working group, we welcome all feedback. Yes, we will put it. Okay. That was easy. Okay.
Okay, we got a question from Miriam. Miriam, if you could just hold that till we do the break, we'll come right back. You'll be the first. And then Kurt's made a comment here that under the IRA DOE, they handle the weatherization grant monies through the state. And so maybe we, like Peter, and Peter knows that, he's worked with the state. So, okay, Miriam, we'll be right back to you after the break. 15 minutes, and then we'll be back for more discussion.
We're going to continue with this part. Right? She ended it here.
Okay, let's get back and get started so we can get all of you off to Fiesta. All right, we had one question holding when we left. It was Miriam, and so Miriam, if you turn your video on and ask your question, we're right back to you. Thank you for your patience.
Sure, no problem. Can you hear me okay?
A little louder.
Okay. My question was about these various types of things. First of all, thank you for all the information on these different programs that are being rolled out. I was wondering if there's any information or indication about the willingness of citizens to accept any of these programs over other programs. You can have as effective a solution as you want, but if no one wants it, sometimes that can be a barrier to the eventual goal. So I was just wondering if there's any information about whether or not some of these programs are more acceptable than others and getting better press, so to speak, among the communities.
I'm sorry that I missed it. I'm looking straight at you, but I realize you're looking at my back. So that is definitely not a good angle. I'm so sorry. Were you asking about whether or not there's a willingness to participate or?
Yes, I'm asking about whether or not among the various weatherization, HVAC, any of those other programs, is there a variance in whether or not the communities that are the target of these programs, is there a willingness to accept them? Are some of them more accepted than others? Is there more interest in some than others that would affect the overall effectiveness of the program?
I would say that our participation numbers show that it is effective. But the other thing is every time that we develop a program or we launch a program or we're in the process of developing, we engage with stakeholders. And so whether it's solar or weatherization, this multifamily weatherization program, we invited the multifamily property managers in and asked them, right, would you be willing to participate and partner with us? Is this something of interest to you? So I would say that we do that on the front end, and then we monitor participation, right? If we see that it isn't taking off as we thought it would, we reevaluate and go back out and talk with stakeholders. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you very much. That's helpful.
Okay, looking for more questions, comments, statements, speeches, short essays. All right, not hearing any. Okay, here's what got one, Michael.
One of the things that I think we need to recommend in our recommendation is that when they go forward with this, that they make the rate redesign totally separate from a rate increase. I know it's their discretion later on, but I think we need to recommend that they keep those two things separate, that there's a rate redesign that's revenue neutral first, and then later, if they need a rate increase, to do that separate.
That's perfect. And let me just piggyback on that. So again, with our goal of making a recommendation by July to the board, we need to start getting what each one of you think down on paper. So think about the first week we talked about the rate relief, what they have in the affordability programs, how they've changed them, how they're looking at them. I think it would be very helpful if each person that would, because I'm sure some won't have time, but if each person would send to Ann, just in a simple little email, do you think what they're doing is right? Do you think it's wrong? And if you do, what do you think, what recommendations would you make to change it? So if it's right, if for example, today, if they made the sale on what they've done to modify the STEP program, then you can say, yes, I think what they're doing will work. If you don't, say, I don't think it will work, and these are some things I would like for them to think about. And then in a general area, you can do just what Michael's saying. You can say, look, it needs to be separate from rate increase so that you can watch each step and you don't have cross contamination between the two steps. Now, I'll take pushback on that, but without knowing what you think, we can't speak. This is not like voting on a rate increase. This is more like deciding what the community represented by you in general thinks. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we will come to an absolute conclusion, but if we start with where people are, we can figure out where we go. But if we don't know where people are, we don't know how to start. So I am going to ask that people do that, and we'll see next month. And we're doing it a little bit early, a month or so early. We'll see if we get some folks to weigh in on the first two legs of the triangle. Problems with that? Tell me. I don't care. You got another way of doing it? I'm all ears.
Rita, I apologize. I got a little lost.
Okay, I'll be a little more succinct. We got a triangle of affordability. You've got multiple things that have to work on affordability. You just cannot give enough rate relief in and of itself, because if you do that, then maybe people start using more and don't conserve. So take each one of the legs of the triangle and what was presented the first week, what they have done. They've increased what they could consider the energy burden from 6 to 10% to the severe. They've made these changes and they made some recommendations on making changes to the affordability program. It's all right there on the paper. Do you agree with it? Do you not agree with it?
And I'm sorry, I had misunderstood you. I thought, in this point of clarification, I thought my question was sending an email to Ann. Did you want us to comment on whether or not we wanted to separate rate design from rate increase and why?
No,
Okay.
we
Sorry about that.
know that has to happen. We've talked about that and you're exactly right. And Michael just told it. I'm just saying at a general rule for not these three things, but if you're talking about general procedures, you can say, well, look, I agree with it. We should, you've got to look at them as separate things. Okay. Back when we were doing the SAWS rate design years ago, we knew what they were going to have to charge the customers and what customer classes were going to get charged. We just didn't know if we wanted to make the charges progressive and seasonal and that kind of stuff. Okay. So we're talking about the third step here, and we're not talking about a general thing, but a specific thing. Just was what was presented last month. And did they present it? Do we believe that that's going to be effective? If we don't, what do we think needs to be done? And this week, if Anna made the sale, you go, I think they've made the changes that need to be changed. I'm comfortable that they're where they are. That's all you need to say. That's one sentence. If they're not, then say, I think this and this and this needs to be considered. We have to have something to talk about in June so that we can write something up, so then we can let the public look at it, and then in timing, we can put something out in July. That's it. I hope that answered it, Anita. Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, Reed. On the recommendations and the potential process that we could have in June, I would recommend for the consideration of the RAC with those proposals that were made last month, that would be an item that we would vote on. That way, it would be very succinct and having a unanimous or ununanimous decision on any one of those options. So we could be very clear on our position, specifically on what was presented. And to your point, between here and there, we can have the debate of whether it should be voted on specifically on what was presented as options that would be implemented for the affordability discount program.
Yeah, again, a vote is a yes or no. It's a pretty black and white. I think we're going to, if I have a guess, we'll probably wind up with a range of feelings on this. And I think that's not necessarily bad to give to the board. I mean, we don't necessarily have to give them a cookbook, but if we can get folks to start kind of telling us what they think, some people do it real well, and some people just are very hesitant to do it. So maybe in writing, it's a little easier. And then we can start talking about it, Peter.
Right, exactly. That's what
We-
I'm
we
talking
dis- we
about.
discussed
So that
it.
we can consider other options as part of
Yeah.
those options that we would vote on. We can
Yeah,
keep adding on.
It could
what we
evolve.
might think.
It could evolve, yeah, yeah.
It
I
could be
don't
more
know
succinct with
exactly
our
how it's
decision.
going, but we need the group to have the discussion in June for sure, for 3 hours. And hopefully at the end of that period of time, we've got some level of, we're hitting somewhere, I don't know where it is.
Thank you.
Yes, we have a question from Councilwoman Villagrán. Councilwoman? Huh. Where'd she go?
Sorry, I'm trying to. Oh, okay, there I am. No, I just agree with that. I think in writing would be good. I think we need to take a look at it one at a time. I like what I've heard, but in terms of weatherization, I think and conservation, I think that needs to be citywide, not just looking at those in Pier and Beam and things like that. So that's my comments, and I'll have more to send to Ann. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Yes, no, it's all type of structures, and obviously it's including some multifamily there too. And the reality is it's really all over the city, because we have lower income people all over the city. So it's not necessarily one area, but it's not necessarily one type of structure. You're right on that. Okay. Anybody else? Anything else?
Christopher.
Go ahead, Michael.
This is just more of an administrative piece. We've been moving our meeting around quite a bit, and that's been okay, I think, with most of us, but summer's coming. And I'd like some assuredness that our June meeting is going to be June the 15th. At least from a selfish point of view, I'm planning a vacation in June, and I'm purposely pushing it up to the next week. And my fear is that somebody's going to come back and say, oh, we just pushed your meeting off a week. So I'd like to know that we're going to try to keep that the 15th for June.
We had talked about moving it to the 22nd, but I don't care. I mean, whatever y'all want to do.
I'd like to keep the 15th.
15th? Okay, that's fine. Then that one, the June meeting, I'll do remotely. Okay, Christopher, turn your video on and ask your question.
Hello, everyone. Another procedural question. Since we have a series of public outreach and engagement sessions going on, not just at the CPS Energy Board of Trustees meetings, but specifically targeting late June and July, what's the plan for the process of collecting that information, reviewing it, and sharing it with the folks on the RAC so that we can digest it and see how that informs our own deliberations?
Christopher, let me just see if I understood your question. The process will be that folks will send their comments to Ann. Theoretically 3 emails, or they can put it all in one for the first 2 legs, and then she will distribute those to everybody. So you should see, I would guess in the next few weeks, you should start seeing individual comments. Now, if we want to, she can incorporate those on one page or in one document so that you don't have to open a whole bunch of documents, I guess. I'd have to consult with their technicalities there. But when people write something, the idea is that it gets distributed.
as a quick follow-up, also in terms of the actual public outreach events in June and July, since we'll be approaching the deadline for making a decision at that point, is there a plan in place to collect that information that the public offers, and then getting that to those of us on the rack so that we can consider that as well?
Well, I'm not real sure exactly what the public comment's going to be on, but if there is comment that's relevant to us, I'm sure Deanna and her team will get them to us because, I don't think there's a problem with that. I'm just not sure. There's a lot of input there and none of it's all just related to us, I would think.
Yes, but we are working on a plan so that we can get it back out to the rack.
Get
Now-
it.
So that we can get the information that we received, the feedback that we received on the public input. And
Okay,
yes,
all
we
right.
will get it to y'all.
So you should expect to see two things. One, input back from the citizens' inputs and input back maybe consolidated or something or updated on one file from people that have put input in. So if theoretically, if I sent, and again, maybe we do this, you attach a Word document, then all Ann has to do is take that Word document and copy it over into a master Word document. And that way we've kind of got a living document there.
Read, even if they send it to me on an email, I can do that and put it
Yeah,
in a Word
no.
document for us.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
yeah.
All right, you got choice there. Anything else? Going? Oh, Michael, go ahead.
Sure. I think one of the things that we need to end up discussing, at least is, I think part of our recommendation needs to be the recommendation for complete redesign of the way the bill's laid out. And I understand the IT system is going to be 3 to 5 years before we can actually do that. But I think it's important that be part of our recommendation, that the bill become more understandable and redesigned to be more informative and understandable to the average customer. And it may be that they can't implement that for 3 to 5 years, but I think it should be part of our recommendation.
And I see that part as this third leg, which is how you manage demand with information that you get. And so should be talking about that next month. And hopefully they'll put that on the list. Because again, whether you're getting, information is important and it needs to be understandable and easily interpreted. And right now the bill's not that easy. So anything else? Yeah.
So I want to thank everyone too for all the information. Thank you so much. So just to be sure that I understand on affordability, so what's being proposed in terms of rate design, not necessarily the rate increase, but rate design, is that in order for a customer to have bill relief, they're also going to be a part of the two legs of the triangle as well. So bill relief will go along with conservation and demand management, which we'll hear about next month. But are we looking at it as the triangle it is instead of looking at a part by itself? So that's just one question I have and something I would put down and submit to Ann and maybe understand a bit more next month with the other things that we'll be talking about. But I see the triangle as being that system, and you can't take one without the other. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead. I didn't see your hand up.
I would love to talk about, when it comes to bill relief, some of the set costs around some, what I would call penalties for folks that need bill relief to begin with, the set cost of the bill that's broken up when folks are on a repayment plan. Is that set? Are there rules that don't allow that to change? And if also, fees around people with the low credit or people who have bad history of paying their utilities, maybe not with CPS. Most of them probably with CPS, but the fee I think is $400, like a deposit. And then the rule is you have to pay every month on time for an entire year in order for you to get your deposit back. I think everything I just mentioned is perhaps a bit unfair to low-income community members and can err almost on predatory, because if you take someone's money and they have a 500 credit score, it's almost guaranteed possibly that they may not pay back. And so how much of that money is CPS retaining as well is a question I have, as opposed to going back into the community. And if there are ways we could analyze that and look that over, I think would be of benefit to people in District 2. Thank you.
And that's specifically something that you need to send to Ann so that we have that on our radar, okay? And if we have a comment on that over here, please go ahead.
Thanks, Reed. So we do not use credit scores as part, we don't do credit inquiries as part of whenever anybody sets up new service. What's that? We do use payment history, but I just, because when you said credit score. So when it goes to payment history, we can waive the deposit based on some requirements in the terms and conditions. The amount is actually set on an amount based on what your anticipated usage will be. And the money stays on your account. It just doesn't get credited to your account. So what I can do is I can send you the approach that we use as parts of our terms and conditions. And then if you want to propose any changes to how we do it, you'll at least see how that's laid out.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, we'll send it out to everyone.
You know, just kind of as a follow-up.
Go ahead, Nita.
And I know we're not directly talking about this right now, but I was really intrigued by your statement right now. And one of the things I wanted to ask about was, yeah, thank you. So who here knows about the program Energy Angels? In the room, does anybody know about Energy Angels? So Energy Angels is an amazing program that has initiated, I actually don't know when, from CPS Energy, and it was really about you really just need an address and you can say, you know what, I'm going to donate anonymously or otherwise I'm going to donate to this address. My question is there a general pool of these type of programs that can be deferred to people that to bill relief, or in the case of I do think it has been very difficult to get a CPS Energy account, you know, and especially over in District 3, District 2, you know, there's certain parts of town where there's for a variety of reasons why it's more of a challenge. So my question is there any pools of money that have been set aside through donation to help kind of relieve that customer?
So I think Energy Angels was something that was developed as a response coming out of the pandemic, and customers were like, "Hey, I know a family in need. I'd love to be able to help them." And so we did what we could to protect data privacy, but also open up that opportunity. We're in the process of trying to find new ways to allow people to pay if you know a family in need, or even if you don't, you can say, hey, I know we've had a specific request for, hey, I want to help D2, for example. I only want my money to go to D2. So it allows for customers to make a selection for that. But we don't have anything specific for deposits or new accounts. If that's something you would like to propose, I think it's something to look at.
I mean, I guess I just wanted to kind of throw, on that note, yeah, I would like to sign up as an ambassador for Energy Angels. And, I know I don't want to speak for all of Bill San Antonio Green. We would love to do whatever we can to help push that message out, and any events or anything that we can do to help raise those funds or put that message out. I personally would be very interested in doing so. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Nita. Okay. Anybody up here? Can't read that. Okay, don't see anything else up here. I don't see. No, that's the one, short time from July. There's collecting the feedback. That's what we talked about on Christopher's question. And then he said, okay. So I think we answered that. Anything else? Gone? We're adjourned.